Hey everyone, Grayson the Bard here, and welcome back to day 103 of the Hunt a Day. Look, here at Grey Bard Hunters Incorporated, we operate on a very simple guiding philosophy, and that is the dumber the monster, the better it is. I'm talking big, silly goofuses all over the shop. I want monsters like Duramboros. I want monsters like Nibblesnarf. If it has if it looks like it has not ever had a single thought in its head a day in its life, it has a special place in my heart. They are my favorite types of creatures. But monsters like Odogaron are my favorite kinds of fights. Today we're fighting Odogaron, and as I just said, Odogaron is one of my favorite fights in Monster Hunter World. It was a fight that when I first fought it back in 2018 when the game came out, it was when I knew that Monster Hunter World was something special. I loved it. It is fast, it is aggressive, it is constantly moving and jumping around the arena. It is always making you take advantage of small openings, and I've been saying that a lot lately. I've been fighting a lot of monsters that are very quick and aggressive, and it's because I really enjoy that. Big monsters with like very heavy hitboxes that leave themselves wide open have their place, and they can be very interesting fights. But I like when a monster doesn't necessarily have a lot of hit points, it goes down pretty quickly, but it is constantly in your face and pushing you to either dodge, block, or whatever more than you are playing like super hyper aggressively. I would have loved to see Odogaron in Monster Hunter Rise just to see how they would have had to crank it up to 11 in order to keep up with Rise Hunters. Unfortunately, we did not see him in Rise, but Odogaron is a really cool dog that looks like it is made of, like, muscle without skin is the best way to describe it. It is gross looking. And honestly, like, kind of antithesis to anything I like in Monster Hunter. I like dumb-looking monsters, I like bright colors, I like monsters that look like I could hug them and, they would be like, oh, that's nice, before crushing me in half. Odogaron is full-on edgelord spiky boy without the frontier levels of spikes. And he looks super cool. He looks super neat. Personally, not my favorite design. I think he could have a little bit more going on. The fleshy raw meat look that he has to most of his skin is cool, but it's also kind of one note. Like, I like how his tail has the spiky, like, bony protrusions coming off of it, and his claws have that neat, like, retractable look to them. Kind of like a Wolverine from the X-Men kind of vibe going on. But other than that, he just kind of is one thing. He's just red dog, red murder wolf. And it's fine. I would like there to be more. I think Ebony Odogaron, the variant with like the blacks and purples that like has more like varied color to it, is a lot more of an interesting design. And I like the way Ebony looks a lot more than I like the way regular Odogaron looks. So talking about aesthetics, I think he's cool. I think he's neat. Not my favorite. But I absolutely love the fight. I cannot overstate that enough. Odogaron is also one of the few monsters that has a unique interaction when you stagger it. So when you stagger Odogaron, if you don't part break or if you don't get a KO from impact damage, Odogaron will actually bounce back up immediately and launch a counterattack. That was, if I'm remembering right, the first thing that caused me to cart to Odogaron when I played this game for the first time back in 2018. Was I knocked him down, I saw him fly away, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna go in. I'm low on health, but I've got, the opportunity for an attack now, and I did not have the opportunity for attack. He launched right back at me and sent me to hell. And I can think of a few monsters that do that. I think, Odogaron does it. I know Rajang does it. And I think there were a couple monsters in Frontier that I saw do it as well, but it's a very rare interaction to see a monster get launched back and immediately counterattack. But I would love to see more of that in Monster Hunter. Because I feel like it's very easy to fall into a rhythm of figuring out, okay, here is how I can stagger this monster to hell. And it completely trivialize the fight, where Odo Garen and Rajang being able to immediately bounce back and punish you if you're not being careful is a great mechanic. And Odo Garen kind of balances that interaction with the fact that it is insanely weak to paralysis. You can paralysis this guy like, I imagine a dual blade paralysis user in World could probably paralyze Odo Garen like 5 to 6 times a fight. He regularly gets paralyzed by just the Gyros out in the world in the Rotten Vale. So I think that kind of balances it out as well, as if you prepare for that, you can, take advantage of big openings while still having those unique interactions. All this to say, I really like Odo Garen. I was surprised we didn't see him in Rise. I would have liked to see him in Rise. He's a very fun fight. And I think he would have fit the kind of aesthetic that they were going for in Rise really well. I'm honestly not sure why they didn't put him in. I don't know how popular he is. I don't know how much of a demand there is for him to show up in Wilds, but because of how recently he was in World, there are some monsters where I'm like, yes, because it was just in World, it has the recent skeleton, I think it's more likely to be in Wilds. And I think Odo Garen might be one of them, just because it skipped Rise, so it skipped the second game of 5th generation, so it would make sense for it to show up again in 6, or I don't know, either that or it's going to completely skip the game again. Odo Garen's harder to say than anyone else. I don't have a strong feeling. And I want to say again, for these rankings that I'm doing, it is entirely based on, feeling in my gut as I'm recording these. And I don't have a strong one for Odo Garen, so I'm going to put him kind of middle of the pack, 5 out of 10 for likelihood to return in Wilds. It's very swingy. I could see it going either way. But I think Odo Garen is a really cool monster, and with its, vulture-y aesthetic, it's a scavenger. It, eats corpses of other monsters and hunts monsters that eat other monsters. It's a scavenger. It's cool. That can fit in pretty much any biome, as long as you're putting corpses somewhere on the battlefield. So I think, Odo Garen has a very high likelihood of coming back. I'll say, an 8 or 9 out of 10 to show up in a future non-Wilds game. Alright, that is it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Please stick around until the end of the hunt if you can. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't. And until next time, I'll see you next time.